Hey guys, Sundown here. This is going to be my chapter review to One Piece 911, A Great Adventure in the Land of the Samurai. Now, firstly, it was a really good chapter. World building 2.0, Oda doing Oda things. I really enjoyed it in that sense, and it was really good to see more characters in Wano, characters we've never seen before, and just seeing more of Wano in general. The cover page was really nice. Really vibrant and definitely a unique piece from Oda. We see like Nami kind of doing this Marilyn Monroe pose, kind of holding down her skirt. We see Robin just chilling in the back while everyone's breaking apart like Brook and stuff like that. It was a really nice cover page. But getting to the chapter. So the chapter starts with Luffy kind of reminiscing about the ship getting sucked into the whirlpool while the baboon and the lion dog continue brawling. Now I was right about that lion dog last chapter. It is an aspect of Japanese mythology. So essentially what happened, and we didn't see this last chapter, was Sanji took Carrot, Nami and Chopper, and using Luffy's kind of balloon body, he propels himself away from the Thousand Sunny and enters Wano that way. However, just as Luffy was kind of about to follow them, the octopus that was on the ship kind of just shits itself for some reason and grabs a hold of Luffy, forcing him to stay with the sinking Sunny. Now you'd think the octopus should be cool with entering the whirlpool. I mean, it might be a scary experience, but you can survive underwater while Luffy can't. So it just shit itself for some strange reason and grabbed a hold of Luffy and forcing him to stay on the sinking Sunny. So I was a little concerned with how nonchalant the entire crew were about abandoning the Thousand Sunny, and this was kind of like something the Thousand Sunny itself seemed concerned with. It was like, yo, you're abandoning me, and you see its face and it's just like, the hell, bro? Why are you going without me? So I thought that was a bit weird, seeing how attached the Straw Hats are usually to their ships. I mean, you saw it with the Merry-Go. Every time it was damaged, they'd be annoyed, they'd be trying to take care of it, and they just suddenly like, yeah, let's just jump ship. I thought that was a bit weird, but who knows. So it's here that Luffy realizes that he has lost Kinemon's Viva card, something which he's not too concerned about, seeing as he can't really do much about it. Meanwhile, from the forest, we see two men riding upon this kind of Velociraptor salamander looking thing, carrying a hostage in a bag, threatening to sell her to the Red Light District or the government for being a supporter of the Kozuki clan. Now, we later find out that this hostage is Otama, a very young girl, I think just hitting 8 years old this chapter. And the fact that they brought up selling her to the Red Light District, I thought was something that was... I didn't think that was very shonen-esque. I didn't think that was something that they would allow a writer within shonen to talk about, selling someone to the Red Light District, especially a girl of 8 years old. I mean, it's an issue which, in terms of human trafficking, does exist. It happens a lot in this day and age. So it's something that Oda, within all right, should bring up, and how it's a disgusting thing, but I didn't think shonen would allow that. So whether this was just a freedom in the translation of Jaiminis box and their translators, or whether this was something actually Oda said, I'm actually surprised that this managed to make it into this chapter. So these two men, they're carrying Otama in the bag. They threaten to sell it to the Red Light District or the government for being a supporter of the Kozuki clan. Now, as they approach the beach, they notice that their balloon, so they're the owners of the balloon, their baboon, it's fighting against the Koma Inu, which is that lion dog of Japanese mythology, and it's usually seen protecting shrines, which is unique because Otama seems to live in kind of like this shrine built within a tree later on in this chapter. So the hostage calls the Koma Inu, or Otama calls the Koma Inu by a pet name, suggesting that she owns it. So the two men then contact their superior, calling him a headliner. So at this point, we knew straight away, here we go, boys. They're Kaido's men, They notified this headliner that a ship has illegally entered Wano, and they tried to sleep Luffy with a tranquilizer and take him back alive for questioning or whatever, make him into a slave or something like that. They mentioned something about making him part of the workforce. So Luffy gives us extreme Katakuri vibes here, merciless and fully prepared because of his Kenbun Shoku no Haki, and he decimates Kaido's men. Obviously they're lackeys, so he absolutely destroys them, all with this kind of very Zoro-esque grin on his face, demonic grin on his face while he's doing it. And the little girl just watches from this bag that Kaido's men were carrying. And they order the baboon to then kill Luffy. Something he stops really easily with just his Hao Shoku no Haki. He just stares at the beast, decimating its spirit, and he just dominates its spirit, and it just stops in its tracks and sits down. So as the baboon submits, the little girl knocks out the last kind of one of Kaido's men that's still conscious. and then we see her in her entirety, who she is. So we see a very young girl, possibly of an age with Momonosuke. I'd assume he's about 8 years old as well. She's dressed in a kimono which has been stitched back together kind of with different rags, different pieces of cloth, something which usually suggests, I mean, like coming from that kind of background myself, not having been raised in that background, but my parents and stuff like that, that's usually something that suggests a lack of affluence, possibly poverty. So that was the big hint straight away. So we find out that her name is Otama. I think the Oppa is only usually kind of like an honorific used for women in classic Japanese. So her name might actually just be Tama. And she's a devil fruit user, seemingly able to pull parts off of her body to form, I think, maybe just sweets in general, but in this situation it was a sweet dumpling made of mochi, which was unique, which was, what I keep saying unique, which was funny because Luffy was giving us those Katakuri vibes, and then we see someone producing a mochi sweet. So maybe there's more to her power than this, but this is all we know for now. And she throws this kind of mochi sweet, this mochi dumpling, into the baboon's mouth, which seems to tame it instantly. So maybe this might be another aspect of her power. Maybe eating some of her sweet or some of her flesh, so to speak, causes a change in allegiance to her. So maybe there's an aspect of her power that does that. So it's also worth noting that she speaks in an old Tohoku dialect. This is northern Japan, and it's seen as more of a rural dialect. So once again, something which I'm very familiar with, seeing as where I come from. So she tells Luffy that he is indeed in Wano, and he's in a place called Kuri. I'm not sure whether that has any deeper meaning, whether that was somewhere another pirate went or something like that. So she also refers to Luffy using the term Aniki, which is a term used in the Yakuza, very, very much so, meaning big brother. We've seen it in all the movies, come on. There's always the Aniki guy, you know, they always call someone big brother. So it turns out that Tama was taken in by Kaido's men while she was out shopping for rice, and that Komachiyo, her Komainu, which is her protector and her pet, attacked the baboon, and in her frustration while this is all going on, Tama told Kaido's men to wait and see what happens when the Kozuki family return. This is taboo in Wano, obviously, ever since the new shogun and Kaido took over, so they were going to take her in no matter like what she said after that. And she wants to repay Luffy for saving her, so after docking the Thousand Sunny in a safe place, she leads him back to her place. During this journey, she tells Luffy two things. There are pirates that she likes and dislikes, so she's had encounters with pirates before, and she does like some pirates, and she obviously dislikes some pirates, and Luffy is part of those she likes now because of what he's done. Also, she's aspiring to be a kunoichi, very similar to the ninja we saw. I've forgotten his name, you know, part of Kinemon, Kanjuro, and then there was Raizo. So very similar to him because he's a ninja as well. So she's aspiring to be a kunoichi, and she has a master that she lives with in the forest somewhere. So they get to her place, which once again it's a shrine looking getup built within a tree, and she makes some steamed rice for Luffy. Luffy gobbles this up, requests some more, and when he's told that's all they have, he expresses some guilt because he just ate all the food, even though he's still hungry, and he can't really hide the fact that he's still hungry. So Tama goes to wash her hands when suddenly a Tengu masked person storms in with a katana, pissed off at Luffy, and it's definitely a dude because he had hairs on his legs, and unless it's an Okama, that's usually depicts a dude. That's usually used to depict a dude. So Luffy's reaction was hilarious, initially thinking, yo shit, it's Usopp, and then realizing straight away that no, that's not Usopp. So the Tengu is pissed that Luffy ate all the rice, the reason being that Tama is so poor she barely gets to eat, and apparently it's been a number of days since she's last had a meal. So she weaves bamboo hats. This is the Tama we're talking about. She weaves bamboo hats and uses the money from that to sustain herself, but apparently it's been days since her last meal, like I said. So what's even more saddening is the fact that the rice, any dish with rice, usually just rice by itself, you'd think is a dish which you can only have on two occasions in the year, on her birthday and on New Year's Day. And it turns out it was her birthday today, but in honor of what Luffy did for her, she decided to give Luffy the rice to eat because he saved her. So we see Tama then drinking from a river, but she dashes back in order to save Luffy and protect her honor. You know, she asks her master not to shame her after what Luffy did for her. So she suddenly pukes up the water and seems to become very ill very quickly. And the Tengu dude realizes straight away that she must have drunk water from the river to abate her hunger. However, the river is full of chemicals and pollutants from Kaido's factories, all these Smile factories and things like that, which is why Tama is in the state she's in. Actually, would it be Smile factories, or would that have been in Dressrosa? So he has factories of some sort. I'd assume they'd be Devil Fruit based, but I'm not sure if they're particularly Smile, because that was Dressrosa. So yeah, so that's the reason why Tama's in the state she's in currently, because she drank that water. So the Tengu goes on to say that Tama could have chosen to live anywhere in Wano, you'd assume, but she's been waiting for a pirate who's promised to meet her upon his return, and that pirate was named Ace. So this, hearing his name so early in the Wano arc is wonderful, and tying this in with the fact that he was taught to weave bamboo hats in Wano is even better, because chances are that Tama taught him how to weave these bamboo hats, and he in turn tried to weave a bamboo hat for Oz because he was always stood so tall and his head was closer to the sun and his head would always burn. I think that was the story anyway. It was just something to keep his head away from any form of weather. But now how will Luffy break it to Tama that his brother Ace is in fact dead, and what will he do in Ace's stead? Because Luffy's going to have to take this on as Ace's brother. He's going to have to kind of step in his shoes and say, okay, I'll take over whatever he was going to do for you. So surely he has to take Tama to Chopper, but he doesn't even know where Chopper is right now. So we then see Kaido's men talk to this headliner, saying they've lost connection to their companions at the beach, which is where Luffy kicked the shit out of 2 of Kaido's men. And we then see this headliner for the Beast Pirates, none other than Basil Hawkins, one of the 11 supernovas. And this was insane. I saw Basil Hawkins, and I was like, bruh, how are you here right now? So we know that Kaido dropped in on Kid, he dropped in on Hawkins, and he dropped in on Scratchman Apu while they were kind of collaborating and forming this alliance to go after Shanks, and then suddenly Kaido pops up and they're like, oh shit, we weren't prepared for that. But that means that out of the 3 people that were making this alliance, it turns out that Apu and Hawkins decided it was in their best interest to not fight against Kaido and rather join him. And there'll probably be more to the story than this, but as it is right now, they've both betrayed Kid and left him to his fate in prison, which is something that I'm quite annoyed about, seeing as, they're part of the worst generation. You'd expect more from them out of this. Maybe not Apu, because I've always had that kind of vibe that he's kind of a sweet and sour chicken ass, but definitely of Hawkins. What did he do? Did he just pull out his tarot cards, look at them and go, nope? Someone on Reddit said that. I took that joke. Okay, someone on Reddit said that. But I was not prepared for this, and instantly just seeing this chapter and seeing Tama and seeing this Tengu guy, who also actually, by the way, had a really dope sword. The crossguard on the sword were like flower petals, which was really cool, large ass flower petals as well, which was unique. We haven't seen something like that. And seeing as it's Wano, you'd assume if someone owns a katana, they're probably skilled with that katana. So I assume this Tengu guy is quite a fighter. Maybe, obviously, probably not at the level of Zoro and them, but definitely able to use his katana. So yeah, I wasn't prepared for this. This arc is going to be hype. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter. Let me know what you guys thought of this review. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow when I do my Boku no Hero Academia review. So see you guys then.